Despicable Me is one of the weirdest and dynamic animated film series I've ever seen. The first one wasn't amazing, but it certainly wasn't terrible. It's actually one of my guilty pleasures. Same goes for the second one, but Minions seemed to drag down the series a bit, making the third Despicable Me feel slightly less potent than the first two. But then I came to some amazing realizations. You may think Despicable Me is very surface level. You may think Illumination movies as a whole are very surface level in comparison to Pixar or Disney films. Well, I'm here to say that that is incorrect. My Lorax videos should certainly prove otherwise, and this rings true for Despicable Me as well, because there's an entire hidden timeline of evil events lurking beneath this film series, and it's amazing. Brilliant in every regard, really. If my Lorax videos stunned you, and believe me, they should have, because some of the secrets and evidence stunned even me, then this should too. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and Minions seems to be a very surface-level movie, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that that's a surface-level observation. First of all, it's a prequel to the other three films, and while only showing Gru on screen for like a minute in total, it still manages to secretly reveal basically his whole life story if you can fill in the blanks. And today, I'm here to do exactly that. Gru was born in 1960, as he is 50 years old in the first film, which is confirmed to take place in the year it was created, 2010. According to all of the banners at VillainCon, it's 1968 when we see Gru come in and swoop up the minions. Clearly, this is the beginning of his villainy. But there's more here. We see his freeze ray technology and large signature machines are also in his possession at this time, which means Dr. Nefario is already working for him. And here's where things begin to dip below the surface. If you observe closely at VillainCon, you'll notice as the minions are walking by an exhibit, you can see Gru and his mother standing right there. But that's not all. Look closer and you'll see that the exhibit they are viewing is displaying the amazing power of a device called the Freeze Ray. It's Gru's signature weapon. And who's holding it? Well, that signature face, hair, and nose should really give it away, but if that doesn't, then merely looking in the top corner of the exhibit will confirm that this man is Dr. Joseph Albert Nefario, Gru's partner in crime. So, what can I deduce from this? Well, if we keep observing, we can see a rocket prototype standing upright in the corner of the exhibit, indicating that even back in 1968, Nefario's lifelong goal was to steal the moon. He's planning ahead, building rockets in 1968, even before the famous 1969 moon landing. He wants to beat the government to it, and he wants to steal it. And I'm 100% sure that he's here at VillainCon looking for someone who can get there before Apollo 11. It's why he has an exhibit. He's demonstrating a freeze ray to lure in a villain. It's why there's even a freaking poster of it next to the damn villain recruiting station. And Gru's right there, watching like Nefario wants. Perhaps Nefario targeted Gru specifically as he wanted to work for the long-lost son of one of the greatest villains in history, Gru's dad, Robert. And not coincidentally, Gru's seen only days later with all of Nefario's tech and his freeze ray as he steals the crown from Scarlet Overkill. 1968. 1968. In the mid-credits scene of Minions, we see metaphors of the bonding between Gru and the Minions. They begin to work for him, and by 1969, Nefario's new partner is ideal, and he knows this, but he can't send a kid up into space, and also, he had no shrink ray at the time. Nefario always was the one with more drive to steal the moon in Despicable Me 1. Illumination is very clever, making sure to establish very specific dates. At this point, you should be fully aware that, like most mainstream animated films, they aren't very surface level. So then, next in the timeline, we see the Despicable Me 1 flashbacks. As his mom still wears the same dresses that she did at VillainCon, Gru watches the moon landing in 1969 and fantasizes about going to the moon. Hell, he even draws and builds model rockets that perfectly mimic Nefario's engineering style. So they plan and they plot until the moon is in optimum position during the film in 2010. Gru's little dog gets older and older, and I'm fairly certain Nefario kept it alive with science or something, because that thing should be like 43 by now. Gru keeps plotting with Nefario, and then, by 2010, he's ready to steal the moon after Vector's literal pyramid scheme had come to fruition. So that's Gru's backstory. Really, it's not that surface level, especially the particularly nefarious parts. You know, I love how they said on the banner that it was VillainCon International. That should open it up to all kinds of people, dragging in Gru, Nefario, and yes, I suspect Gru's birth father. Because unless he was dead at that point, he should be there. But Gru's mom would make sure they steer clear of him, so it's doubtful I could see him there, and believe me, I looked. But maybe something killed him like another villain, or I don't know, but he doesn't seem to be there, despite his supervillainous title. Maybe Scarlet Overkill destroyed him so that she could take the title of greatest villain ever, just for Robert Gru's son to swoop in and reclaim the legendary family name. It's interesting, because in Despicable Me 3 they say he was the greatest villain ever, but he'd have to be an adult for that, meaning he'd be the same age as Scarlet Overkill, and if Scarlet Overkill was the best villain ever, then she would have had to have forcefully taken that title. So that actually does make almost perfect sense. Speaking of all of this though, we may have finished dissecting Gru's whole past with Nefario, but right now, there's something that seems to be more fishy. An organization such as the Anti-Villain League should have a field day with something like VillainCon, but unless they're blatantly incompetent, they should have found and destroyed it by now. Who knows, maybe it no longer exists in 2010 because of them eliminating it. But they should have been on top of things like Scarlet Overkill. Maybe her temporary domination of England was what had them created. Too close a call. I mean, to some degree, they seem to be a British organization, as seen in the accents of many of the directors, but that's not enough evidence for it being England-based. But I mean, they should have been stopping horrible events instead of letting them slide. And the fact that they aren't stopping Vector from stealing pyramids, or Gru from stealing the moon, or the Bank of Evil from even existing, makes me wonder if they're really all that heroic in the long run. In Despicable Me 2, they completely went after the wrong person without even taking a single bit of advice from Gru, the actual villain they recruited. And he was correct in the end. It was all Nacho. So, is the AVL really all that good, or are they more subliminal like their namesake of AVL? Avil. Avil. Evil. Really on the nose, don't you think? Maybe they're an organization whose sole purpose is to let villains thrive, shielding it under the mask of incompetence. Their goal is to deal with villains so that true law enforcement doesn't have to. In reality, they just let them all get away with it. Upon searching the internet, I found one theory on Despicable Me. Only one, other than, of course, mine. There are no theories on this movie, and I understand why, but this person's theory on the AVL seems to sit adjacent to my theory. Here's what Reddit user IshDaKitty theorized on the AVL, and it's a bit messy, but nonetheless, it's very interesting, nice theory, and intriguingly, it very loosely aligns to what I've theorized. They thought that Queen Elizabeth and the British government created the AVL and pardoned Herb and Scarlet once they thawed out, giving them jobs there, since Scarlet said she was done with being evil at the end of Minions. They changed their last name to Wilde, Herb's supposed last name, and they have a daughter named Lucy Wilde who works there like her parents did. Now, personally, I think this is genius, and it supports my theory of how the AVL has this deeper evil lurking inside of it, but as this Redditor points out, there is zero evidence that Herb's last name is Wilde. However, the age and physical appearance of Lucy match up almost perfectly other than the hair color, as well as Scarlet's possible love of childlike figures after dealing with the three minions, particularly Bob and the little Barry gave her at the end. So, as I said, very sloppy, but it has some basis, particularly because of my theory regarding the AVL's nonchalant attitude towards what they claim to do. However, Lucy's parents are dead. Yes, according to one of the writers on Twitter, she joined the AVL because her parents died at the hands of a villain. So, which one? Well, if it's true that her parents truly could be Scarlet and Herb Wild, then who would have killed them? Who killed Scarlet Overkill? If Gru or his dad ended up going back to finish the job, then Lucy's infiltration of Gru's family unit is nothing more than a massive conspiracy to destroy Gru from the inside. The evil AVL gave her a complex villain despite her being a rookie because they know she wants revenge, but she fell in love with him in the end. Now she's trapped between two worlds of equal villainy. No. I would die if that were the case, but that's ridiculous. There's just not enough evidence for even that initial theory by the Redditor either, despite it being amazing in every way. So, where does that leave us? Well, we solved Gru and Nefario's backstory, and we know the AVL is a very suspicious organization, but beyond that, I think there's more, just not right now. I need to go work on some Disney and Pixar theories, so stay tuned. Click the subscribe button below and make sure the bell is turned on with all notifications. You'll be informed when I return to this or other even deeper topics. And with that, I'm the Theorizer.